If you're getting out of the car, you can, of course, hear us anywhere in the world on the internet. Just go to star905.com. That's star905.com. Hit that listen live button, and you will be tuned in to Wake Up. Okay, now today on Wake Up, which I want to thank you, Ma'am Dasani, for that. I feel like inside information about concerning Khashoggi. That's the journalist that was killed in the Saudi consulate in Turkey. That was some good information, and I can listen to some of those inside stories. I love the inside information. That was great. So we appreciate him for breaking that down for us. I just threw all my other stuff I wanted to talk about as far as politics out the window. I'm like, yeah, bro, keep going, keep going. So thank you, Imam Dasani. Now, Brother Bashir is still here with us. Hey, Brother Bashir. He didn't get a chance to talk much during that because he was listening too. He was like in rap silence, just listening. Yeah. So, and we have now school board candidate for District 5, Gwyn Gittens, rhymes with kittens.
That's it.
And of course, you want to definitely tell everyone to get out and vote right now. Now, you know when you shake your head and nod your head, nobody
They
can
can't hear me, but they're watching me live on Facebook. So.
Oh, so she on her own multimedia platform.
Well, you guys started this when I was here before. I was like, okay, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
All the people that watch me on Facebook know that I'm not the aficionado at all of this. So it's just a good thing I got the screen up there. But yes, we are getting down to the wire. I believe today is day 17.
Wow.
And a lot of people, we were just speaking about this, a lot of people are very concerned about voting by mail, although there are in District 5 over 7,000 votes already cast by mail.
Mine was one of them.
Thank you very much. I hope you remembered Gittens with a G. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And so a lot of people have voted that way. A lot of the issues have been out there for a while, and people are aware and know exactly what they want, their minds were made up. I've never done politics before, but I tell you what, this is the longest 6-7 months I've ever had. And after you pass the primary, you think, okay, well, it's not going to be that bad. It takes a little dive and then it comes right back up again. So we're getting ready now for that final push. People that are not comfortable voting by mail, I hear your pain, I can understand. However, starting Monday the 22nd, from Monday through Saturday, I think the time is from, I think it's 10 to 6, I believe. I have to check that to be sure. And check online at lee.vote or call 533-VOTE to find out exactly where the polling places are for you. For my district, they can vote at the 2 elections offices, the one on near Bell Tower on 41, and then the other one off of Martin Luther King.
Right.
And also there are 2 in Lehigh.
The Darth Vader building. So
yes.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, the Darth Vader building. And in Lehigh, it's the library on Gunnery, and then Veterans Park on Homestead. And I always tell my older constituents, you may want to do the library as opposed to Veterans Park because it's a long walk. Once you park, you still have to walk quite a ways to the back. And I know last time at the primary they even provided some wheelchairs to help people, but if you go to the library, it's quick and easy and it's right by the door.
No, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. So you can't arm with information. Get out and vote. If you don't want to do it by mail, then
you can walk in there, get that sticker on your chest that says I voted.
Let me ask you, do you think that the addition of Andrew Gillum and his popularity, especially in the minority community, you think that's going to drive folks to the polls?
You know, I have gone back and forth with, that's really going to bring people out. And then I've gone to the other side of the pendulum and just, watching people and listening to people,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hearing a lot of conversation.
Right.
You know, when it's really, really going to be good, you hear people talking about
like
it.
when Obama was running.
Yeah, you hear the barbershop, the beauty shop. That's the talk of conversation. You're
Right.
standing in line, or you're at the restaurant or whatever. I haven't heard a lot of buzz. I hear the people that are really involved and invested talking about it.
Right.
But I don't know if people have gotten the fire lit. I hope and pray that they do.
Right.
And get out and vote. And like I said, if you don't vote, you don't have a voice.
Right.
But I'm just not sure that people, and my own personal opinion is that we have been so inundated with politics in the last few months. I'm tired. Okay, I know they must be tired. You know where people stand. You know what you want. You know what you don't want. And now we're into the season. It's always hard in this last season for the legislators and governors and all that because they get so nasty.
Oh yeah.
They get real nasty, and I know I'm just tired of turning on my TV and hearing what somebody did. And,
it's pretty bad.
You know, and I think people get turned off by that, and they kind of lump it all together.
Yeah, but the problem is it works. It still works.
It works for some people.
Yeah, it definitely worked for Trump.
Yes, but you know, I would like to go back and do a study, or have somebody do a study as to when we changed politics to be so nasty, and what was the real catalyst.
Yeah, because it didn't start with Trump.
It didn't.
A long time.
It was going on before, and people having human nature. Once it works for one, they all get the bug and like, oh, I'm going to try that too.
Yeah.
And it just keeps keeps building. But I don't know. I don't know when we got off track so bad.
Yeah, well, we definitely are, and I'm hoping we'll get back on at some point. Now, this is the first office that you've run for, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've never run for political office before, and my hat's off to people that do it.
Continuously, you run for everything.
Oh, yeah. And just keep running.
Yeah.
No. You know, but I have said, though, on that fact, win, lose, or draw, I have a fire in me to help get some things done.
Beautiful.
To see some changes. And I was endorsed by the real estate, the Royal Palm Realtors Association.
Okay.
And in the interview, when I started out, I said, you are the people I want to talk to about schools and locations and all that. And win, lose, or draw, I would really like to keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
And there's just some things that I understand when people say, if you really have a passion for something, you need to get out and make a difference and not just talk about a difference needs to be made.
Okay, now, since we last spoke, I remember you were, let's say you were not sold on the tax increase. Has that changed at all?
Yes, it's gotten worse.
Okay.
No, as you go along and do your homework and listen and read, I think we need to step back and look at the big picture. I look at the board in the last 4 years as they're looking at a puzzle and they've only got certain pieces of it. That they don't have all the pieces because they look at things through this view and this perception of life. And I say all the time that one of the things I want to do is to bring empathy. And I've said that to you before, and I even believe it more now.
Okay.
Because when you haven't gone through or haven't really felt or understood certain situations, you can't
really?
You really just can't understand it.
Right.
And you see things, and not to their fault, but they see things a certain way. And I always used to say, someone that's brought up, and I'm not saying they're prejudiced at all, I'm just using this as an example. if someone sits around the table at home and that's all they talk about is, don't like this person or don't do this or don't do that, that's all they have.
Right.
So in order to change that, you have to communicate with people that are different.
Yeah.
And then you collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that I bring to the table is having worked for Bank of America, a Fortune 500 company for 10 years, and gone through 3 mergers. And you have to have an open mind. You have to look at all of the pieces to work with somebody that you don't know and you don't like because they just took your best friend's job, but you have to sit there and coordinate and figure out a plan that's going to work for everyone.
Wow. Okay. Now, let me ask you, and this might put you on the spot a little bit.
Oh, I'm used to you doing that. So.
Speaking of collaboration, is there anyone who is currently running for the school board that you would like to see seated next to you on the school board?
Oh, you're getting real good. I like people that are open-minded. And I think it would be a little presumptuous to say certain names.
Okay.
There are some people that are running that I've heard speak because I've heard them ad nauseum by now. But there are some people that I've heard that their message resonates with mine.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do one safe one. I really do think that Betsy Vaughn mirrors the way I think.
Okay.
As
we
far
had her in
as
last week.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So then you know her message and how it links up with mine. I don't think that all 7 members of that board should think alike.
Right.
And I think that's what the root of the problem is right now, is that everybody thinks the same and they think alike. I go back to that empathy and sympathy thing. And one of the incumbents said at one of our forums, well, we're a family and we all, work together and we all, like each other and all.
No, I don't want that.
And I responded at the forum, I said, well, my family is in District 5 and I'm here to represent my family, not to become a part of yours.
Ooh.
And as harsh as it may seem, I'm here to work with you so that when I go back to my family, we have a good education system in our part of the world just like you do.
Okay. All right. Now, you've told us before, but let's remind everyone, what are your priorities once you are on the school board?
Since I've spoken with you, I've talked to lots more people, lots more teachers, and the frustration of our teachers has got to be top priority. Because if you don't have teachers, you can't educate the children.
True.
And one of the things that is happening, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, they passed a law about inclusion. And inclusion means that students that are ESE, exceptional learning, they can't all be separated. But there was a part of that law that you can't have a plethora of ESE students mixed in. It's like a portion, a percentage. I've spoken to teachers that have 30 children in a class, and 17 of them are ESE.
Oh, wow.
And another 4 or 5 of them have a 504, which is a similar destination for a child.
Wow.
The discipline, just managing. And I know when I was teaching, I remember one young man that was so severe in his behavior that the only way I could get him to calm down and I could talk with other students would be to have him sit at the head of the class at my chair with my computer doing things. And teacher after teacher kept saying he needs some special services. Finally, they got him moved to Royal Park. But when you have that many students with special needs, the other children kind of go attended to because you can't. It's like keeping tops spinning and you've got 30 of them, and some are, going faster than others.
Yeah.
We have to look at, I said to someone last night, if you're not going to pay the teachers, you're not going to take away some of the pressures of the special needs students in the class, and you're going to tell them every step of the way with their curriculum, do this, say this, sit now, stand now. You can't do all three. If you paid me really well, I might be able to kind of like, okay, I got to do this. But you're not paying me. You're not supporting me. You are intimidating me. I was very, very concerned when I heard that the school district had gotten the list of all of their teachers' voting habits from the elections office. Yes, it's public record.
But
however,
still,
and then they told the administrators to talk to their employees about that hadn't voted to say, notice you haven't voted lately.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And some administrators, to their credit, refused to do it.
Good.
And I kudos to them.
Yeah.
It's not illegal, because I asked it in a meeting, and I said, it may not be illegal, but it's immoral.
Right. It's an infringement.
It's
none of your business if I voted.
And how I vote.
Exactly.
Right.
And then trying to influence people to, vote for certain candidates and all. It's just not right.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it's like I said to my husband, God don't like ugly. And it's all going to come back. It'll come back on him one day.
All right. Now, I didn't ask you this before, I don't think, but how do you feel about testing? I think a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, there was this big thing about testing. And I felt it also. My kids in school, I felt that we were emphasizing testing way too much, and they end up not learning other subjects, so they don't get a well-rounded education.
Right.
How do you feel about testing? Is there a way for us to do testing and make sure that our kids are getting a rounded education?
I think what's missing, and not just in education, but a lot in our society, is balance. We swing that pendulum so far to one side, and then we swing it all the way back to the other side. I remember when I was in school, don't ask me then either. But when I was in school, and other people have said this, you learn your chapters, you do a chapter test, you move on. At the end of it, you have a final.
Right.
What is so wrong with doing that?
Exactly.
And I personally feel, and maybe I should do more research, but I don't think so. I personally feel a lot of the testing is to get data, and the data is driving everything that we do. It's driving, what schools and what teachers get what. Oh, your data says that you're this. I'm sure we'll talk about safety and discipline, and it has a lot to do with that as well. There are administrators that don't want their teachers to do referrals because it comes down the line and it messes up their scores or whatever. So instead of being data driven, we are being driven by data. It's the cart's before the horse. Yes, we need to do some testing, but why can't, I was talking to some teachers recently, and one of the suggestions was, instead of some of the FSA testing, especially in high school, why don't we just use ACT and SAT? I mean, we're preparing them for college or whatever. Use the test that they have to pass anyway. Which gets into the vocational and all that stuff. We'll get into that later. But I really think there's too much. When you have a parent call you and say that their third grader had to stay home today because she was so stressed out about FSA is coming, FSA is coming, and FSA is coming. It's just too much.
Okay. I do want to ask you this, because I've had conversations with educators, and they seem to feel the same way, that testing is too is too much. It's gone too far. It's too much of it, and the emphasis of it, as you say, is putting stress on the kids, which means that stress is causing them not to do well on the test.
Exactly.
Also, now I get that. You've spoken with the teachers. What is it that you can do as a school board member to give teachers more of a voice in the way that education is being administered in the county?
One of the things that the teachers are very concerned about now, they have a process with, I forget what it's called now, the maps or whatever, the academic maps, and they basically are told, do this, say this, do this, say this. And at this point in time, you must be here, and at this point in time, you must have finished this. And it's frustrating to the teachers, especially the ones that realize that, you know, Greg over here has this look on his face that he doesn't have a clue.
Totally confused.
What you're talking about. And you cannot go on and just leave him. So, look at this big picture. So you've got this format that says, do this, say this at this time, sit down, stand up. You've got 30 kids in the class. You've got 17 of them that are ESC, that are not getting it and not listening. And you've got Greg over here, who's a, average kid that with a little bit of help could do it. What time do you have to help him? When can you do it?
Right. Because
you are on a schedule. And I just think they're putting so much pressure on the teachers. And if we are not careful, we lose the key component of education, and that's the teachers.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something.
You're allowed.
All right. Okay, we got about 10 minutes left, so let's go.
Okay.
You knew I was coming to this, school safety. What is it that you can do? For instance, Polk County, of course, they have the Guardian program. First off, are you in favor of the Guardian or a Guardian type program being put in place in Lee County? And if not, what is it that you would propose to do to make sure that we don't have a major tragedy such as Parkland?
One of the things that is the key component to safety is a relationship with the students. Can't have a relationship with the students if you choose to go over the class size amendment and just pay the fee because it's cheaper than doing anything else and hiring more teachers. So we first have to look at that relationship piece. How can we make that work? I visited one of the schools, one of the high schools in my district, and they have, the school was built for like 1,100 kids. There's 24, 25. And I asked, how many counselors do you have? They have 4. There's 1 counselor per 600 kids. And I said, in a perfect world, what would you like to see happen? And the administrator said, 8 at least counselors. And think about it, if we dealt with the problem where you've got a smaller class, you've got a counselor that these kids can see on a regular basis, Johnny doesn't get to the point where he's so frustrated that he's ready to blow up the place. If somebody knows him and they see that all of a sudden he's looking kind of down, or somebody just talks to him every day and speaks to him. So our security issue starts back with counseling and talking to kids and having that relationship. From there, I do not believe the teachers should have guns. Most of the ones that I've talked to said they really don't want to see that happen. And think about all the stress that's on them already, and then you're going to add that. With this, like many other problems, I think we need to sit down. The legislators need to include the people that are going to be involved. When they say, oh yeah, we talked to some teachers, well, who? And what school? Okay, was it a private school in a wealthy area, whatever? Did you talk to anybody in Dunbar? Did you talk to somebody in Lehigh? Did you get one of our teachers that has 30 kids in the class or 40 kids in the class? Who did you talk to? And until we get rid of that selectivity of, oh, we talk to teachers. Yeah, right.
Which ones?
Okay, which ones did you talk to?
Like we took a poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rather than having administration say, well, we'll have so-and-so go down there because they'll represent us, ask the teachers, have an open forum, have an open forum like this online. But so many of our employees are really afraid to speak up as well. So we've got to let them feel like they're okay. It's okay to talk.
Okay. Now, okay, we got about 6 minutes now.
Okay. I'm looking to see if someone else asked any questions.
Oh, someone else asking questions?
There was one
competition online.
There we go. No, it was just something about the growing number of poor performing ESE programs.
Okay.
I think there's a growing number of the achievement gap, and we talked about this before, is not closing.
Right.
And there's no way that you can say it's closing if you've got a 9th grade student reading at 3rd grade level.
Right.
If you've got 2 young ladies I met, 17 years old, 11th grade, and they have 4 credits.
Wow.
Okay. Impossible.
Wow.
I mean, I just go, how?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is just moving kids up, and then building more schools because we have a glut at the top. We've got to look at smaller learning communities. We've got to look at having smaller schools. We have to look, and in fact, I talked to Mark Mora last week about my idea of looking at commercial properties.
Who is Mark Mora?
Mark Mora is the director of operations at the district.
Okay.
And in talking with him and talking to the Realtors Association, there are plenty of commercial properties that we could repurpose, just like we did Kmart in Lehigh, that is now G. Weaver, and it's been 3 different schools. Think about the savings that if we had one commercial property that was changed into a holding school. So even when we're building schools for other locations, those kids would not be housed in portables that cost $50,000 each just to set up, and then a monthly fee to maintain them.
Wow.
We would have one location, we build it out, and we make it usable, and every time there's a situation like that, the kids that are going to the new Gateway School are in portables at Lehigh Senior right now.
Right.
They could be in a building. And we could be saving all of that money. So anyway, I do that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, I guess this is going to have to be the final one before your closing statement. Family engagement. Engagement. How and what can you do to increase parental or family engagement in the school system, in the educational process?
Okay. I had a wonderful conversation with the principal at Sunshine Elementary, Miss Gibson, a week or so ago. And we were talking about this, and a lot of the administrators say, we've got to get the parents included. I, at one point, was the coordinator for SAC at a couple of schools, and I was the chairperson for the district advisory council.
SAC is the student advisory?
The school advisory council. It's like PTA.
Right.
And that feeds into the district advisory council.
Okay.
And we've got to take a little more concern with that and make it not seem like, okay, we're just having people come down and say stuff and it doesn't matter. Right. We've got to meet parents where they're at. In our district, especially District 5, our demographics, many of our parents are working when we're trying to ask them to do something.
Right.
Ms. Gibson and I were talking about, she said she would open up her school to have, if we could provide transportation one evening or busing or something to get the parents there, that other elementary schools collaborating have parents come in, teaching English, teaching them this is what they do on the Chromebooks, this is what you can do. We know you can't understand this level that they're learning, but this is where you can meet them. If you can't necessarily read, have your child read to you. And there's ways psychologically that you can make the parents still seem like you know, it's not that I can't read, but you know what? I love to hear you read. Would you read to me this evening? Read that book that you were having at school today. I would love to hear you read it, and you read so well. They have no idea the parent can't read the words on that page. But it's training them the things that they can do. So many, we in education so many times talk lofty $50 words when we can break it down. And those people that don't understand those words feel left out. And they feel embarrassed many times to think, I don't understand what they're saying, but I'm not going to be the one that asks. So we've got to find a way with the community, with the community leaders, with the business leaders, have them sponsor some programs. We've got to find a way to, first of all, bring our parents into the fold, to make them feel important and necessary in their children's eyes, because I think every parent wants to feel that way.
Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming in and speaking with us. It's like with you and Betsy, you guys are easy interviews.
Thank you. Well, I truly appreciate it, and I will end with each can win with Gwyn, but if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. And next week, the 22nd through Saturday, you can vote early voting. You can still order your vote by mail if you want to do that, or you can walk in and get your badge on your chest that says, I voted.
There you go.
And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And good luck in the coming election. Folks, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. This is Wake Up on Star 90.5 FM. We'll be back next week at 1 o'clock with Islam Today, and of course at 2 o'clock with Wake Up. Thank you guys.